decided I have to do a YouTube review of Sinners. Tyler J here again. It's been a minute. I had to recover from Paradise, and I'm still not recovered. Can't believe we have to wait another year for part two. But let's get into Sinners, okay? Michael B. Jordan, Ryan Coogler. I don't even want to name drop, but just you all two specifically. Blessings to you. Blessings to your ancestors. Blessings to your bloodline. Y'all deserve all the awards. All the awards. All the awards. Okay? Y'all was in y'all big bag. Big bag with that one. Okay? You did your big one, not the little one. Beautiful cinematography. Ryan Coogler, thank you for explaining the films that you use, the IMAX, all those things. And just the acting, like the storyline. This is an original screenplay. Just really proud to be a part of this moment, to experience your artistry, both of you all as director, screenwriter, and actor. I am just in awe still at this cultural shift. I haven't felt like this about a movie since Get Out, and I haven't had a moment as a community like this in a while where we're all so excited to unpack the themes and the history. You have just sent us on a tailspin. So many TikTok, deciphering, and so many people are uncovering truths from the past. You see people from different social identities coming together to talk about this. This is what we want to see. This is what we want to see in cinematography. And I'm a cinephile, okay? I'm a cinephile, but I'm also a Black history buff. So, let me pull up my notes because I got to go through the notes on this one. And I don't even know where to begin. It's just so much richness, y'all. Let's start with the opening credits. How about we do that? And I hope y'all can hear me because, I'm talking low because I'm trying to preserve my voice. And why it be people text me while I'm recording stuff all the time? I don't know how to separate my messages from my... Let me just turn it on Do Not Disturb because this is going to piss me off. Okay. And friend, I'm going to let you know who it was who almost pissed me off once I finish this. So let's get into it because the opening credits, I really appreciate the connectedness of the stories, the intentionality of saying how music transcends in different cultures. I think it was obviously foreshadowing to talk about Africans, Chinese, and the Irish community. So I just want to start there because that is what you first see. And I think that's so important. And when we were in the movie the first time, I was with my brother and sister. I didn't really catch it. I was like talking to my sister, excited to see, Michael B. Jordan. And then at the same time, just like, okay, this history matters. Let's get into it. But the second time I went to see it, I was like, oh, this is a foreshadowing. This is key. Key information is going to come back again. And it came back again in the scene, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But just the transcendence of music between time and space, that is so satisfying. I'm like salivating because that word choice is so pivotal to the entire story, the storyline. Just thinking about how music is so integral to Black people and what it means for us and how we navigate through the world in a musicality in a way that's so musical. It makes sense that this cuts through time and space and allows us that, connection between the portals. I love it. 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 Okay. Let's talk about dancing with the devil. When Sammy's dad says that you keep dancing with the devil, he's going to follow you home. And that's exactly what happened. I did some deeper research on what this story was based around. I know it's not based around this in entirety, but to know that there's a real person who experienced this, it reminds me of just the folklore that exists in the Black community. So Robert Johnson, who is from, I want to say Clarksdale, Mississippi as well, or just from that area in the Delta. Shout out to Jackson. That's where my family's from. Just the crossroads connection. Sammy comes at a crossroads where he has to choose between his faith and his music, and Robert Johnson does the same, and the story is told that he sells his soul to be able to play music. And I mean, one could say that Sammy did the same, but we'll get into that. And I mean, that's up to your own interpretation. And I do love that about this film is that there's multiple interpretations. Like, I don't even think mine's is the right interpretation, but I think we all took something away from it and it resonated with us in different ways, which just lets you know how good a story is, where you can see something hidden and be like, oh my gosh, this is connected to this. I didn't think about that. And just having conversations with so many people in the last few weeks has just been like, wow, you caught that, girl, I didn't see that. Oh man, I didn't think about that. So definitely that crossroad connection. When the movie opens up, it says it's in 1932, and it just made me think about what was happening during that time, not too far from, slavery time. There's still segregation, right? Especially in a place like Mississippi. We saw the white water fountain at the train station, the black water fountain, the way that the stores on one side of the street. We hear the saying of "There's no more KKK," right? That's coded language. We know what that means, but it's 1932, and I just think about this great migration from Mississippi to Chicago. A lot of my family, a lot of most people's family who are from the Deep South went up north, right? For better opportunity. That's what you see Smoke and Stack. They went to Chicago for opportunity. They got connected with Al Capone and some other characters, but essentially it was to better their themselves, to get exposure, to get opportunity. And I love that. And it's just so funny how Mississippi, you hear a lot of Mississippi people land up in Chicago, but those same Chicago winds blow them back to the South, as we see in the opening scenes where Smoke and Stack find their way back down in the South to open up this juke joint to bring some culture to the people, right? They have this music from up north, the libations. So it's prohibition, thinking about how some drinks are not allowed in certain places, and this is their one time where the black community who are sharecroppers, we see them as sharecroppers, get to really enjoy a night of freedom and liberation. And I love that they set it up like that. And Sammy and Stack say something later on in the movie about that was the best day of my life, or that was the first day for a minute that we truly felt free. Free because of the music, because of the community, because of the food, the laughter, the fun. They were not restricted to their roles as sharecroppers or just being black in America, which is something that we're experiencing today, So you see us doing them boots on the ground. It's like while the world is burning around us, I saw this meme that said that black people are dancing. We find joy. We laughing. We outside this summer. Beyonce's tour just started. There's a lot going on that allows us to transcend time and space. So, talked about a few things. Mary is introduced, and we see what appears to be a white woman, but then we learn that she has the cultural currency to pass, right? She's in this black community. She's, 1/6 or 1/8 black. I don't know what the percentage is, child. But still, she has the prowess to be able to lean in on her whiteness and then lean in on her proximity to blackness. And I really want to unpack this in a little bit because this is what set them up for failure, right? Allowing that navigation of Mary in both spaces to be their detriment, right? You're family, but you're only family when it's convenient. I don't know. Mary ain't look like family, but it was giving. Just because don't mean just because you have reference doesn't mean you are one of us. So like that for us, by us, all those things where it's like protecting the culture, not allowing culture vultures in, which again is a reoccurring theme. And my friend said something today, which I didn't even click because I was going to talk about cornbread, but she was just like all skin folk and kin folk. I mean, we say this all the time to each other, but that shows up, especially with Mary. So, yeah. And I think when we transitioning from Mary to just thinking about all the characters in this pivotal scene where they're setting up the night, where Stack is setting up the night and he's bringing Delta Slim in, and they talk about his story and his background on their ride through the cotton fields. So I went with a friend and she was like, wow, is that cotton fields? Yeah, it's 1932. Sharecroppers, they still have to meet their quota. They still are not promised their 40 acres and a mule, so they still are working, okay? And, he talks about his friend being lynched and his manhood being taken away. So people laugh, and I said this in one of my close friend stories the other day. Delta Slim is definitely a comedic relief, but in my mind it's more than that. Like, he is more than a comedic relief. It's an undertone of the tragedy of black men and how they're stripped from their families, they're stripped from their identity, they're stripped from their talent, their abilities, all and reduced down to their body, reduced down to what they can produce. So his drunkardness is not just a matter of, oh, I have access to drinking and it takes my worries away. It's a coping mechanism for him, right? He saw his friend lynch, and that, the history of Mississippi and lynchings, that happened for a lot longer than 1932. So just something that really like resonated with me because I have family from Mississippi. So just knowing how Mississippi is viewed from black people. Oh, I have to get away. I have to get away from here. Like, they have that movie Mississippi Damned, where there's this undertone of so much is entrenched and baked into the culture, into the history, that it just smells like it still. It feels like it still. It still feels like Jim Crow South sometimes. So it's disheartening. I mean, I know I see black people thrive. Obviously, my family are business, entrepreneurs. They've done well for themselves. And even thinking about how, the Sanders family came and shined a light on Jackson State. And I'm just talking about one area, but just Mississippi in entirety, just knowing the history about lynchings and segregation, Jim Crow. I just recently did a YouTube on the Mississippi appendectomies. Just so much is there that I'm like, somebody need to talk about this, okay? And so you see my highlight. It's like I'm a little toasty under these lights, but I'm trying to be cute. Take a screenshot. So let's get into this protagonist-antagonist conversation about who are the protagonists in the film, who are the antagonists. One would say Smoke is a protagonist, Stack is an antagonist. Okay. I think, they're twins, right? So we see the yin and the yang, and at different points they have to play different roles. I think Smoke was ultimately the person who was a part of saving the day, but Stack as well, right? He means so much to everybody in the town. He is also a comedic relief, but he really cares about his brother. He cares about building something with each other, building something in the town. He cares about Mary. He cares about his cousin. He wants to celebrate his cousin's talent. So I think, you could say either, right? For the purposes of this conversation, I think that Grace, Cornbread, and Mary are the protagonists and antagonists that I think about. So Grace, the conversation has come up a lot about her and what she means to the film. And this, I might need to start with Mary first. We already know, the conversation of culture vultures. So I don't even think vampires were the antagonists of the film. And I know that's like controversial to say, but they made it like, oh, this film is going to be just about vampires. I think that's symbolism, like for who can be a vampire to culture, who can be a vampire to freedom, to liberation, to expression, to sacred space. I think Mary is one of the largest antagonists in this film. And, I already talked about like cultural proximity and cultural currency and kind of appropriating the space. Yes, she has black in her. And this is not a knock on people who are biracial or who are white presenting, but they have, a different race or ethnicity. But I think it's to say, where's the humility and respect for the culture? If you take it, right, what do you give to it? Because you said, hey, I have this proximity. I'm going to tap into my whiteness and go outside and see, if I can get more information from them, right? So your family when you're in here, but when you're out there, you the ops, right? Okay. And then you come back in and then you kill my friend. So, Mary, Haley Steinfeld, phenomenal job. But girl, okay. All right. So Cornbread, came up with my friend today about all Skinful and Campful. I thought of it as sometimes it be your own, like because we thought Cornbread. I mean, in the beginning, he's a security. He has a relationship with Stack. He seems to be a provider for his family. He cares about his community. And then when he comes back, when he's transitioned to being a vampire, it's kind of like it be your own ones. Like so, you left, you became a vampire, and then you still got your hand out for money, as if you did something. But the whole night has gone into disarray because you weren't on your post. So be your own ones who let the danger in, who open themselves up, or receptive to the everything that's at bay, and then they bring it in as if we're all supposed to be kind to one another and invite you in. No, we're gonna keep you outside, okay? Like Annie said, you've been coming back and forth all night. What's different right now? So, I could go on, but grace. Saved by grace. Not really. So this brought up some conversations. I saw a YouTube video on the history of Chinese Korean people in the Delta during that time period, and how they came about and, just set up camps, built stores, built opportunities for entrepreneurial efforts in the Black community and in the white community, and really profited off of segregation. I think they were pivotal to building economic wealth in the region. But I also think, this brings on the notions and the nuances of anti-Blackness in brown communities. So they didn't explore, Hispanic communities in this movie, but they did Asian communities. And when we think about the AAPI movement, Stop AAPI Hate, Black people were very supportive in those movements. And I don't want to get political or into, deep conversation or like divisive conversations, but I think we have to acknowledge that there is a level of anti-Blackness in some of these historical conversations, right? Because it was like, well, let's profit, let's negotiate. Smoke knew how to negotiate with her, but that might not have always been the case with illiterate, poor Blacks in the community, right? They are just trusting these merchants to take care of them, take care of their families, but ultimately there's a profit there. And Grace and her husband were good as long as Smoke was providing the money. And if you notice, as soon as the first sign of danger, she was like, "We didn't come here for all that. Let's pack up. Let's set up shop, break down everything, and go check on our daughter." So that right there was just like, profit versus protection. I thought about that of like, you have the two stores. You have the Black store on this side, the white store on this side. You're doing well. You're code switching. You're navigating. And then you enjoy being around the Black people, eating the food, having a coat, like per usual. Who doesn't enjoy the magic of Blackness, right? People partake in it, but people don't give to it. I remember when I lived in New Orleans, they said all the time that people love the culture, but they don't give back to the culture. So just thinking about that with Grace and her husband, who at the first sign of danger, they were ready to leave. Profit versus protection. Oh, this is y'all problem. Oh, y'all got this. Similar to Black Lives Matter and AAPI, Stop AAPI Hate, when all of that was happening around the same time. It was just kind of like people were picking and choosing sides based on convenience. No knock to anyone. And this is not generalizing. I'm not saying everyone. I'm just saying these are conversations that happen in the community. So I, shifting gears a bit, really appreciate the African spiritualism and Hoodoo culture exposure. I myself am a Christian, but I think it was very powerful to see how we are connected to nature and source, and sometimes we don't understand our power or our connection to our history or our ancestors, or how we can tap into those resources to gain knowledge, wisdom, answers. And Annie was so powerful. She, in my mind, is the protagonist. Trust Black women. Black women will save you. Black women will keep you, right? Always. That's the message. Okay, I'm back from my commercial break. and my water break because it'd be hot. I was getting a little hot, y'all. These lights, these studio lights. I'm in a studio. Got to make sure, that I'm keeping it real with y'all because this is in real time. We're gonna add it, but I'm letting you get the goods. So, anywho, shifting gears as we started talking about African spiritualism and hoodoo culture, I thought it was powerful to showcase that. I think Annie is the biggest protagonist in the story. As I said, the message is trust black women, believe black women, honor black women. And she's just so strong. I don't even want to say resilient because you would say, well, after her child died, she's resilient. Her partner leaves, she's resilient. No, she's strong. She really taps into self definition, self portrayal. She is practicing healthy resistance. Y'all, this is getting into my dissertation. She is saying, I am unbound, I am limitless because I have infinite power and connection, and to just be so bold and fearless in that and sure footed. And I am able to transcend through spiritualism, through herbalism, through being connected to my source, to my power, to my being, to my purpose. I love her. I love her. And I love the actress. And she was phenomenal. I think I don't want to mispronounce her name, but I loved her in Lovecraft Country. I think she's phenomenal. And to see her in this role, knowing she's British, but truly mastering that accent, mastering the essence of a woman during that time, who is a nurturer, who is a lover, who is a mother, who is a healer. She's everything. She's everything. I see why Smoke, did what he did in the shed, in the cabin. What a scene, okay? Michael B. What a scene. Now that's the scene that deserves the award, okay? She said, I know what remembers me. If I knew that a little French was all it took. Okay, girl. Okay. You did your big one. You did your big one. So I love that they showcase that, and I am myself a Christian, but I appreciated seeing elements of even Yoruba, like just different religions that were brought here by our ancestors, and knowing that they still have connection to that and they haven't lost the practice of it. That's powerful. And that's connected to a later theme around forced Christianity, forced religion, and just how we can kind of combat against the notions, the assumptions, the messaging that's reproduced to us. So the vampire is not who we should be afraid to let in. Mic drop. The vampire is not who we should be afraid to let in. And we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but who is considered a culture vulture? I don't know. That's up to your interpretation. Who is the real danger? Is it the vampire? Is it the system? Is it the institution? Is it the individual? I don't know, because everybody was cloaked behind, there was a symbolism behind each person and what they represented. They represented change. They represented inclusion versus exclusion. They represented racism, segregation, so many different messaging of what these people represented. But the vampire was not the one that they needed to be worried about letting in, because they knew to use garlic. They knew to do certain things to the wooden stake. That was all knowledge from here with Annie. But that wasn't the danger. The danger was already inside. It was the spirits. It was the, gluttony, whatever. Insert here. It was the things that were already in place that when presented the right time, the right environment, were exacerbated and led to their detriment. So greed, power, and I think Smoke even said that in one scene of I've been all around the world, you do your little hoodoo. He did I've seen power and money, and that's what it is. And those were the things that brought them to their knees and brought them to their death, brought the whole, night to its end. So the culture vultures. And it was so, the imagery is just so on point in this movie because the vultures were kind of over the house of the two people that Remy, I don't know his name, child. The vampire. When he went into their house, the vultures kind of came over, and then you see the Choctaw. I got Choctaw in me. I don't know the percentage, but my family has Choctaw, period. And Choctaw Indians in Mississippi are so pivotal to the culture, to the history of that area. So they are the protectors of land and spirit. So they see these vultures coming in. They know that there's an evil presence that is here to disrupt the land and space and spirit. And they are like, hey, if you let that in your house, God bless you and keep you and may his face shine upon you. Good night. I would have done the same thing. Oh, y'all already let them in, clearly, because y'all already let them in. So, I am very proud of my native heritage, and I'm glad they introduced that. I'm just so glad that they had historical consultants on this movie. I saw all that in the credits last time because those were such pivotal characters. I want to say characters, pivotal communities in the context of Mississippi during that time, informing what we now experience. So, love the elements of spirit and connection to land, space, people, power, source. All of that is just so good. It's so good. It's so good. I could talk about that all night. This last thing that I want to talk about is when Delta Slim is talking to Sammy. I was about to say Miles, because shout out to the character who, or to the to actor who plays Sammy. I know this is his first film. Did a fantastic job. Your voice is like butter. Okay, I would love to hear you do an Anthony Hamilton song. Yo, see, this is what we talk about. Like, why do these things keep coming up? I had to do not disturb. But basically, he's telling him blues is something we brought with us. It's our magic. It's our connection to that ancestor portal. And it ultimately was a saving grace because the guitar is what saved Sammy. So he said the Lord's Prayer, and Remy knew the prayer. So I think that was so crazy to see, was like, he even knew the prayer, which means the enemy, we know that the devil was a fallen angel. We know that the devil was a fallen angel. So to even see him be able to recite it back and say, yeah, that's the same prayer they said to my ancestors. Forced religion, westernizing these people and forcing certain practices on them. But the blues, the music is what saved Miles, and it saved him. It saved him from that moment. It saved him from a life that he, wasn't set up for. And I think that was so powerful to see them make that choice of what faith is. Faith is subjective, and faith in your religion, faith in your relationship with God can be so much bigger and more expansive. And that's what I got from this, is like, God gives us gifts. Sammy used his gift, his divine gift, to save him. So, I mean, and I've talked to a lot of people about the interpretation of that, because some people said it was anti-Christian and all these different things. I think it just showed, again, another perspective of we cannot assume that everybody practices the same belief system, has the same value on their belief system. But I am glad they kind of intertwine that, because the Lord's Prayer, let me tell you, the movie that I was in, everybody was like, yes, Lord. We all was reciting the Lord's Prayer, because we need to call them spirits, we need to cast them out, okay? Them evil spirits, get them up out of here. And that works for me in my house, right? But others might say, my ancestors, my faith, in different ways provide me leverage and space and advocacy and the navigational tools, right, to ward off those spirits. You see people do Florida water, sage, different things like that. So I just thought it was crazy that the vampire even knew the prayer. It just goes to show you, beyond forced religion, just that the enemy knows it too. So you're saying that he's a fallen angel, so it's going to take power and belief and faith, not just reciting it. And I think that's more along the lines of like, the Lord's Prayer, he was saying, nah, do you believe it? What's your belief in? Like, do you have sure-footed faith in this? Like, Annie was sure about what her ancestors told her. Are you sure about your faith? Are you sure about Jesus? Are you sure about your religion? Are you sure about your practices? Whatever that is, like faith in the moment when you're presented with evil, how do you cast it out? How do you stand up against it? The wiles, the spirits that follow you. Because he said, I came here for you and your gifts. I want to take your gifts because I need to see my ancestors. I want you. And that's, girl, I ain't trying to preach tonight. But sometimes the enemy be like, I want your gifts. And I know what the Lord said. Okay, I know what God said, but what are you doing? Do you believe that? Or do you believe in me? I think that's a good note to end it on because I could go all night. But I love this movie. Love this movie. I'm open to your feedback, your comments. Drop them in the comment section. And I cannot wait to hear what you all have to say. I'm going to keep watching these Instagram recaps, TikTok videos, keep talking to friends. I'm probably going to see it for the third time because there's so much that comes up each time as you watch movies and continue to unpack and talk in community. And I think that also is a great way to end is there was healing in community. There was laughter in community. There was joy in community. There was transcendence in community, transcendence of society, institutions, culture, and community. And we all need community right now. So sending love and light to all of the subscribers, all the people who review. And yeah, tune in for my next Chat and Chew. Jolene, I know I'm into the games you play and nothing